I drink and I know things. That's what I do.
Welcome back to Flagons and Dragons. The air might not be filled with fire and blood, but we always stay cool. I'm one of your hosts, Jamie G. Esquire the Fifth, and just wait until you see my purple trailer drop. It's hotter than Dylon.
Because I spit hot fire.
I'm here with my co-host, Magnum Mills, and we're going to do the hot D thing. So to be clear, we are talking about House of Dragon, and we are not still doing phrasing. Mills, are you ready to declare yourself for Team Green or Team Black?
I am Magnum Mills, and I do declare myself squarely to be on the side of the Confederate. I Team Black. Team Black, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you for joining the team. This is Flagons and Dragons presented by Regular Dudes Watch Stuff. Thank you for checking us out. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. We are on social media at Dudes Watch Stuff. Same place on the web, dudeswatchstuff.com, regulardudeswatchstuff.com. We do it that way to make it easy to remember, just like the flaps. Follow, like, and please subscribe. All we ask, if you had fun, when you're on your way out the door on your dragon, please remember to hit that thumb.
Stop. Hold up and listen, because this is a spoiler edition. Seriously, y'all, episodes of Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon are fair game for discussion. So are the trailers, and so are the works of George Double R. Martin. We'll give you a heads up if we get into any major book spoilers, but other than that, if you don't know, now you know. Before we get into the trailers themselves, do you like the fact that HBO released dueling trailers? I mean, I'll take as much as I can get, but do you like them dropping both trailers at once? The green trailer, the black trailer, etc.?
I like that. I do not like the fact that we're not doing phrasing anymore because, well, yeah, I kind of liked it. I think it was cool. There was a little bit of reuse of shots, and really, if you put them all together, there's not that much that's revealed. You know, even the book readers, I think they're trying to be careful about what they show. You know, even Game of Thrones was always famous on their next time on or whatever for showing stuff way out of context. They make it look like one character was talking to a certain character, and then when you got to the episode, it was a totally different character. I think there is a little bit of that deception going on. But I like the idea. Maybe they're going to lean a little bit too hard into the Team Black, Team Green thing. I like it, but I think just because I am, personally declare for Team Black, and I'm like, how can anybody be on Team Green? But I'm sure there are some greenies out there, and good for you. Jamie G, what do you think? Did you like the dueling trailers? I'd say it's a win overall, but I like a resounding win. Just a nice little L, little W.
It's a dub, but it may not be like a slam dunk, Gronk spike in the end zone dub, but it's a dub. And I like this because I really think they're doing a great job of setting the stage for this massive battle that's brewing. And maybe they're jamming it down our throats a little bit. Again, Mills, we're not doing phrasing anymore, but maybe they are, but that's okay with me because I like this epic battle that's kind of brewing. And when you look at what we have with House of the Dragon, we don't have 15 different storylines. So you kind of need this big major battle. That's kind of the main deal. So I'm okay with it. I thought it was pretty cool. I like it. To me, it was fun.
We get this, the idea that there's going to be dragon fights, but I don't think that they can go to that well
in
that
the
often.
Rain.
Yeah, give me. Let's do an under over here. 3.5 dragon versus dragon fights this season 2 on screen. Under over 3.5.
Man, I would totally take the over if it was 2.5. 3.5. That's a hard one. I think I'll probably go under, but I don't know, man.
Well, yeah,
I think
probably my point, because the idea is they can't have a dragon fight every episode.
No.
That would kill it. I think 3 should be the max, kind of almost. It might even mean that there's, it's all in the final 2 episodes. Even if they tease it, I get that they have to build the drama, and so maybe that's a little bit of it. And, this is dragon versus dragon, not just dragon, toasting some stuff or flying around or whatever. But the way they tease it, like last season, we only had obviously the one dragon versus dragon fight at the very end. And it's a very rare thing that hasn't happened since the original Dance of the Dragons, even in all the lore and everything. Like, it's a huge deal for dragons to take on dragons. And I think these trailers were cool. Do you think we need more? Now we have a release date, June 16th. I think that's about what we figured when I said June. It was probably going to be somewhere in the middle of the month. Given the number of Sundays, everyone kind of figured it was this or the 23rd. So here we are on the 16th. Is this good enough if they give us nothing else between now, late March as we're recording this, to June, or do we need another final trailer?
love one more. I mean, we basically got call it 2.5, almost 3 months before we hit the engine here. So I would like one more final trailer, but not at the risk of giving anything away. They've been really good about kind of being vague in these trailers, but getting you hyped as hell. So I don't want them to, blow the load here and spill the bean, but or flick it or whatever. But I do want them to understand. I would love one more hype video, but don't cross the line of spoiling.
Yeah, probably 90 seconds. I mean, it would be nice if it's a little red bandish, but I mean, it really at this point probably just means you get a curse word and someone gets burned or whatever. I don't know if that's necessary, but I want probably one. Yeah, in that, the final stretch, call it before the premiere and after the NFL draft, somewhere in there, just one properly dropped, 90-second trailer that shows us, even if it's only call it 2/3 new footage, like 66% new footage. I think I would be cool with that. It doesn't have to be something again that spoils, everything I want. And again, this is based on existing material too, so some people will have an idea of where it's going. So I think it's cool if you can at least keep it somewhat ambiguous, because my guess is they will make a few changes, even if they are somewhat cosmetic and minor. But they did that even in the early seasons of Game of Thrones. That was more about condensing characters that made it a little bit surprising for book readers, but they definitely changed stuff up enough to keep everybody excited about it. So I think they can do it here. Do you think they're pushing too hard the Team Green, Team Black thing? I mean, did you feel obligated to go out there on social media and tag your allegiance, or are we too old, or is this just me and I'm telling people to get off my lawn? What do you think? Are they trying too hard to make Team Green versus Team Black happen, or is it actually happening?
I think they're trying hard, but I think it's because that's what's up. Like that's the deal, kind of.
Yeah, book spoiler. The team. This is a thing. I mean, this is totally a thing in the books.
Yeah.
Like people are Team Green, Team Black. Like they don't, House Green, House Black, whatever you want to call it. Like that's definitely a thing in the books. They just the greens and the blacks really is the way they refer to it. But it's fine. But it just feels like this should happen organically, right? And they're trying too hard to.
I think the thing is that it's so much to do in season one, and they really wanted to try to define that and like make it so. And I think you're going to get a lot of it in season two. I don't expect like the main battle or like the answer to be, to like the winner, the victor to be crowned until probably season three or maybe even season four. So it's going to stretch out a little bit, obviously. But for better or worse, I think that's the main storyline we have here, right? I mean, we don't really have a whole lot of other options.
Yeah, I guess the takeaway would be that they're probably going to try to play season two kind of straight down the middle then, right? Without favoring a side from a narrative standpoint. If they're going to do the trailers this way, doesn't that kind of make sense for the season? And, especially you don't really want people, I guess, to pick sides till the very end if possible. We saw that in the original Game of Thrones. So I guess that kind of makes sense narratively for this season. Like we want to come out of season two, I guess, if I'm writing it from the standpoint that people are still invested in both sides a little bit. That's not everyone's on one side, because then your narrative's going to have to either become predictable or it's going to piss off a big portion of your audience.
Yeah.
Did you have a favorite between the two trailers?
Honestly, I thought green was pretty cool. I'm Team Black here, but I did think the green trailer was pretty cool. But they're both more or less pretty close to each other, right? I mean, it's basically one big trailer cut into two to again drive home the fact that it's House Green versus House Black, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, they even structured them similarly. I didn't watch them at the same time on two screens, like next to each other or anything, but my guess is they are very similar in the way they do it. So maybe Team Green cheats a little bit because they have Rhys Ifans, who just has one of those voices, and he gets a little bit of the voiceover. And I think the actor who plays Allison also probably the better voiceover a little bit, although they were still good in the Black trailer. So if you made me pick one, it would be like, I guess, Team Green, the green trailer, but I'm talking like 51% to 49% kind of deal.
Yeah, it's close. It's close. Let's give our overall thoughts on the two trailers here before diving a bit deeper. Mills, how did these babies work for you? Did you enjoy them more than the teaser from a couple of months ago, or is it kind of the same steady speed here for you?
I think it is more or less more of the same. I mean, we just got around to talking about that very recently because we were more or less waiting for the other trailers. And of course, because that's how the universe works, we're finally like, all right, they're not going to give us a new one for a while. Let's go ahead and do the old one. And of course, they dropped a new one. Good, got me more excited, but I think exactly the same and probably in a good way. It got me excited. You're looking for things, but they don't give away the ghost at all. And I'm pretty sure when we're watching the show, there's nothing here that's going to spoil me as it's coming up that you'll get with movie trailers. And, this really happens, I think, more with movies than television. But yeah, I think they did a good job of balancing it out. But it's really, I think, more of the same. That's probably about right because we feel very similar about the black and green trailers. So it makes sense that they would feel similar to the previous teaser, and they'll probably feel similar to whatever the final trailer ends up being, right?
Yeah, I have a feeling, and honestly, I'm okay with it. I'm still hyped. Like, I'm still excited. I'm like, dang, dude, I love that. I wish that was coming out sooner.
Yeah, if they
honestly,
showed one dragon killing the other dragon, I'd be pissed. At first, I'd be like, oh, it's awesome. And then about 5 minutes later, I'd be like, well, that sucks that they showed us that already.
Yeah, I don't want to know. Like, it's hard. You gotta balance, like, get you excited, get you fired up, and clap back up, because let's be real, it's been damn near 2 years. So get you caught up,
editing is an art form, but editing a trailer especially is like a very specific art form.
Yes, I think that's hard
mission
to do.
Accomplished, I guess, with them more or less. They did what they were needed to do. Not the greatest trailer I've ever seen, but it's did its job.
Yeah, I think so, especially considering how long. Again, this show just for it's not even anything their fault, but like they just aren't doing themselves any favors with the fact that like season 1 came out 2 years ago. And they had so much work to do in season 1 to kind of get to this point in the story. Everybody looks the same. Everybody has similar sounding names, and then you have to wait this long to kind of come out with the next season. They just didn't do themselves any favor in terms of overall fan excitement. So I think it puts a little bit more emphasis than normal on these trailers. And I think that's probably why they're trying to do this, the way they did it today or the way they did it with these 2 trailers.
Yeah, and that's not even factoring in. I think Max is probably a way bigger deal, like the online portion of it, the streaming portion of it, than it was when this was greenlit way back in the day. I mean, Game of Thrones was coming to an end. People had HBO Go, but most people had HBO Go just had it because they subscribed to HBO through cable. A ton of people after Game of Thrones dropped the HBO because they were basically just holding out for that. So, maybe the incentives are a little bit different from a corporate standpoint, but I think they have every incentive to make this as big as possible because this is, their biggest franchise, really. I think, they're going to try to do something else with Harry Potter or whatever, but it is certainly in the interest of HBO, Warner Brothers, Max, whatever you want to call it, to have Game of Thrones be a legitimate universe.
All that, dude. Let's start out with the Team Green trailer. I almost said Tom Green because his bum is on your lips. We're going off the rails here. Let's start off with the Team Green trailer. Magnum Mills, make like Rusted Root and send us on our way. Hey.
We're going to open the joint up. You get Allison doing the voiceover, lighting candles. I think the important thing is she sets a time frame. Only weeks ago, my husband was alive. So that tells us exactly where we are. We're only, let's call it less than a month. 3 weeks or less from the events of the season 1 finale. You see some green Targaryen banners unfurling in King's Landing. Allison's at what we assume would be a small council meeting. And she's doing the voiceover, and it seems a little bit like she's trying to talk herself into the idea that Viserys wanted Aegon to be king, right? We know it was a little bit of a fever dream. He thought he was talking to Rhaenyra about the prophecy and everything like that. So you get it. I mean, again, but this is supposed to be shot as a trailer that favors Team Green, so I guess that makes sense, right? But it even still seems like she's unsure of herself.
I think she knows in her heart, and she realizes what she did. And one thing I like is she's going to have some internal conflict with her son, who seems so ready to just arrogant about having it, and you even see that one scene where she's like, understand what was sacrificed to put you on that throne. And I do think that she's going to have not buyer's remorse here, but maybe a little bit.
I mean, this is the Aegon who, when we meet him, is jerking it out the window of the castle. And then when push comes to shove, he tells Aemon, like, yo, I'm out. Like, just let me be out. Like, I don't even want this. And now he's, I guess, getting a taste for it, right? My guess is they're going to try to milk, like, Joffrey vibes off of him. Are you okay with that? To make him kind of just like an evil little shit, for a lack of a a more, eloquent term.
Yeah, I hope we don't have another Joffrey. I mean, one was hard enough to deal
He
with,
was
but
fun to watch, though.
he was. I do think that that's probably going to be. Nothing was as fun as his death, though. But I do think that's probably the role they're going to go. But I think he's going to have a little bit of that dangerous in him because he doesn't care and he wants. He said it. You bring on the
Right.
war.
Alicent and Otto think they can control him, but he might grow beyond their control, just like Joffrey did. And I think that's perfect because
soon.
one of the next shots we get is Otto by the Iron Throne when Aegon sits on it. And that's a lot like when Tywin came in, right? He would be by the throne when Joffrey was sitting on it because he was like the real power. He thought he could control him.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So I think nice, parallel they're setting up here. And there's another parallel on the castle top there. It looks like they have those giant crossbows, which apparently disappear after this because Qyburn, remember, he invented them, and that's how they take out one of Dany's dragons going over the Narrow Sea or what have you because she forgot about them.
Exactly.
Game of Thrones messed it up a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. They did, but you're gonna have to kind of deal with it.
Again, this is a trailer presented from the standpoint of the Greens. Otto is claiming that it's the Blacks that are seeking vengeance, and we don't mean it in the way it sounds if you cut that out of context, but I guess that's right. Like, he's just trying to gaslight people. They're presenting it from this point, but it just feels like that's why I'm Team Black, because the Greens are gassing everything up, even to the point we know, or at least we think we know, what Viserys intended when he told Alicent, and she took it the wrong way. So we know it's all kind of based off of a lie anyways. I guess, does that make me stupid? Am I wrong that I can't somehow bring myself to like sympathize with Team Green, even though they're cutting it this way?
Well, if that makes you stupid, then that makes both of us, because I feel the same way, dude. Like, I can't. They're clearly.
I watch this trying to empathize with Team Green, like put myself in their shoes or whatever, but knowing what I know, you can inform the jury, but you can't make them erase it from their brains.
Right. I'm the same way. I mean, this is their fault. Clearly, there's no, like, they stole the crown, and then they'll pay for it, and it's Otto really at the helm of this thing from way back when, and he's been throughout.
Yeah, I think I've read the books, but I would think, Otto would be, if you're on Team Black, like that's, you chop the head off and the snake will die or whatever, and the body will die. You'd think that they would probably be shooting more for Otto than necessarily for Aegon or Alicent, right?
I think Otto's got to be the first one to go. And you go back to that last episode of season 1, when he goes there and delivers the message and makes the ultimatum. He could have died there. I mean, Viserys' brother wanted to kill him right then and there and send his head back. Maybe they should have.
Yeah, I mean, that was actually David probably controlling himself there. But, and I think that's the idea. Like, they're definitely trying to draw the parallel between Otto and Tywin Lannister.
Yes.
And Rhys Ifans is definitely up there with Charles Dance, great actor. Like, he has that kind of gravitas or whatever. So it works a little bit, but I don't want them to just repeat the beats of Game of Thrones over. I guess that's the only thing I have a little bit of worry on. Then we get kind of like there's a little dragon, there's a little fighting. We get a lot of that. And then we see Aegon, and there's a helmet with a ruby, and then he's got on armor. Do you think he's actually going to go into battle, or is this like a Joffrey thing where he is just getting, armored up to present himself?
Yeah, I don't see him going into battle. I think he's basically just going to look the part. I don't see that at all.
Yeah, he doesn't seem like the guy. He just doesn't seem like, again, a lot of Joffrey. Didn't Joffrey, and no, we saw him run away when it got tough. Like, that's, I think that'll be kind of.
Now, could he hop on a dragon and burn a prisoner alive? Sure. But he'd already be caught, and he'd already be chained up, and he'd already,
Well, that's actually, you're right. I mean, it would be a sacrifice. But in the next scene, we see what I'm assuming is in the dragon pit. We see a dragon. Do you think that is Aegon trying to claim a dragon? Because I'm pretty sure as of season 1, he had not claimed a dragon for himself yet. Do you think that's him trying to claim a dragon? And maybe that's why he's getting armored up.
Yep, I think that's what it is. Yep, I think it was going to be a little bit of a race to dragons here, a little bit. I mean, no pun intended, but I think it's going to be who kind of can procure as many. Has a little bit of the upper hand.
Absolutely. After that, Alicent kind of reminds Aegon, like, look, it took a lot of work to put you on this throne, and you need to come through, and you could get an idea that this, again, kind of like Joffrey rebelling against Cersei. this could be one of the storylines of the season. Wouldn't surprise me. And then I'm going to make him your boy, Jamie G. Kristen Cole. You love Kristen Cole. That's your boy. We see Aemon telling him that basically like he wants a shot at his uncle, at Daemon. And I can't say anything about that. And then we see Alicent, who is in a veil. I'm assuming it's in a funeral. And then we actually see a shot in the Black trailer that I think is from this thing. You see other people dressed very similarly. Based on the look here, this is a funeral, not a wedding, right? I think those are the only 2 times you wear the veil.
Yeah, I mean, it makes you wonder if maybe if an Otto dies, or one of the sons, or maybe a dragon. I don't know. I'm curious to see what this is, but it definitely looks like that. My guess, though, honestly, it's probably one of their allies.
Probably. I mean, yes. Well, I've read books. I'm not going to say anymore. After that, we see at least there was one young Baratheon having a sword fight. Can't tell exactly. I don't know if that's Rhaenyra's kids. I think it is, but I'm not 100% sure. That could definitely be a thing after we saw, her lose a son coming from the Baratheons at Storm's End at the end of season 1. And then we get kind of the ominous warning where Otto warns Aegon about the upcoming violence, and you get the big "to war then." Aegon's embracing it. And Jamie G, they know their audience, because here are my notes for the rest of the green trailer. More dragon. Kristen Cole on horseback. Alicent complains more. More dragon shots. Aegon rocking in his crown. More dragons. On the ground this time. They know what we want, right? I mean, there's a lot of dragons there. You get your Kristen Cole that you love, and I do actually like Alicent. I'm being a little facetious with the complains more, but you can tell that she's very worried about her position, which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Is it feeding bloody meat to rabid dogs? Maybe, but it works. And so for that, kudos.
Let's be honest here. How Alicent has to be at least somewhat concerned, right? That if Otto gets Aegon's ear, what happens when he turns 18 and she doesn't have that authority anymore? It's the same thing again Cersei was facing down. I think they're definitely trying to run the parallels here. So I think she has to worry that if she can't, also curry favor with Aegon, she might get forced out.
Yeah.
Would she really trust Otto like her dad? Like, you got the idea before she didn't, and that she's come around a little bit. But, I think Otto would stab her in the back if he had to, just like, again, Tywin did Cersei. She's not a son.
I think he was ready to, if she didn't play ball with this whole thing, honestly, for the sake of the round, with what he believes.
I mean, he groomed his daughter to go to Viserys and marry him, and like in his time of need and everything. Otto's been a creep from the jump street. I like him because, Rhys Ifans is very charming and a great actor. Same thing with Charles Dance and Tywin Lannister. Objectively a horrible human, but, he at least knew what his goals were, and he was trying to accomplish them for his family. And again, that's pretty much Otto Hightower.
All right. Well, let's see how that compares with the Team Black trailer.
All right, Jamie G, we start out. Rhaenyra gets the monologue, the voiceover here. She's talking about how her father chose her. We see a dragon flying. I am not sure exactly where that is. I'm pretty sure it's not Dragonstone or Storm's End. And then we see a dragon on the beach. I think that's a different angle of a shot we saw in the teaser from previously. Then we see, a table people. Rhaenyra's like, we're going to fight this war. Rhaenyra approaches a dragon. And then the interesting part, we see some men in horseback on a snow-covered road. I'm assuming they're going north. Jamie G, do you think they're seeking the alliance of one House Stark?
I do think so, buddy. They teased it in season 1. I think we finally get to see a little Stark action in season 2.
Yeah, we talked about spoilers. I'm pretty sure the showrunners have said that we will at least be meeting some Starks, not necessarily that we're going to Winterfell. But then we see a shot. Jamie G, I'm pretty sure that's the wall. I think we're on the wall, on the top of the wall. We've seen that before pretty clearly. I did not think we were going to get that far north this season, but apparently we might get some wall.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. Again, I know you and others, rightfully so, are worried about rehashing and kind of too much bleeding of the Game of Thrones story. But for me, I'm okay with it because it's within the same universe. And it's like those places still exist, and those things, those families and house names are still there. I think it's cool, and I think it solidifies the universe. So for me, I'm okay with it, and I like it.
Yeah, and the wall is super interesting in this period of Westeros. Like, this will be a little nerdy. These are super minor book spoilers. I don't think we'll ever really change anything. But at this point, remember in Game of Thrones, they only have like 3 castles, I think, that are actually manned. In this,
Yeah.
you're still at the point where most of the castles on the wall are all still manned. And this is not so far after, like, Maegor. This is a previous, Targaryen who tried to rebel kind of a little bit, I guess, well, before Jaehaerys, but you go back in time, but there was a whole lot of people that were sent to the wall, basically, and that kind of carried through for a while. So it would be kind of cool to see the wall, because although we would recognize it, it is like a lot different and more populous and less neglected than it is when we see it in the events of Game of Thrones. So I wouldn't necessarily mind spending some time at the wall. I just didn't think that they were really going to go there, this season, maybe.
Yeah.
And after that, they kind of just do the quick cuts. Rhaenyra, soldiers, dragons, people are fighting. Aemon, Otto doing the thing. Then we get the sea snake talking to Daemon, and then we see Daemon in full armor in the rain. What do you think that is? Obviously, this is a Game of Thrones kind of thing. I feel like we need at least what? What's the under-over on major battles this season? 1.5 under-over.
Major battles?
Like major, huge, like, it took them weeks to shoot, like, like Battle of the Bastards type of, maybe not that big, but you know what I mean? Like, you'll know the episode from the battle.
I'll go over, but only because I think there's 2. If it's 2.5, I'm going under.
So 1 to 3, I think, is absolutely fair. Like, 3 would be on the surprising side, but honestly, it might count if you have Dragon versus Dragon for what it costs, probably, for all the CGI and everything like that. That might even be the equivalent. But do you think we actually get to see Daemon in that full armor in the rain fight somebody? Or is it all a tease?
I want to see it so badly, but I don't know that we will this
Yeah,
season.
him taking out the crab feeder and everything was awesome, remember?
Yeah,
oh, yeah, kind of like goes in there and acts like he's going to, make the peace, and then has to fight his way through and everything. Just to get back in Viserys' good graces.
Daemon is a very good fighter. Like, you'd love to see it. You'd love to see him get kind of released a little bit, like just go be nuts, and let off the leash. And maybe he will, but I think that's probably more of a season 3.
Yeah, because I think, again, you have to probably assume, at least I'm assuming right now, 4 seasons and more or less. After that, you get a shot of, I don't think we're seeing Alicent here, but it's people in that exact same garb with the veil we talked about in the green trailer. So that's going to definitely be a factor. And we're assuming kind of that it is a funeral. And then, some kind of generic stuff. And then Daemon is threatening to burn someone's house, more or less, if they don't side with Team Black. I'm pretty sure he's wearing the armor here. Do you think that's all part of it? Do you think he's pushing the Baratheons? Any thoughts on, like, who he's going after there?
I think he is probably reminding people of who of the oath they took, and if they don't want to do that. But it kind of sounds like he might be talking directly to, like, Otto. Like, it wouldn't surprise me either. Like, our stance is very clear. It maybe sounds like he's talking to somebody on the throne in Team Green.
Interesting. I like that. And after that, we see soldiers on horseback charging. We see Bela on Dragonback. Rhaenys is warning someone. See, this is a spot where they try to make it look like she's talking to Rhaenyra, but I don't think she is based on the backgrounds. But she's basically talking about, at a certain point here, it's going to go past trying to get to your right to the throne and just into pure revenge. And then when people who have revenge and they have dragons, everything burns. That little, random Aegon swinging at something, someone's on Dragonback. And then we see again a member of the Kingsguard fighting. I'm pretty sure we saw this both in the original teaser and in the Greens trailer a little bit. So I think they just keep showing a little bit kind of different angles on it or whatever. And then you get the kind of cool, like, Rhaenyra on the fade out. Fear what I've begun. And the dragon makes a... Jamie G, what sound do dragons make? Is it a screech? Is it a howl? I don't exactly know, but it's a unique sound and it hurts.
It's a blood-stopping hurl. Like, it's
visceral. It's very visceral. It's a double
man,
V.
it's scary, and it's not exactly like that.
Las Aquilas.
Oh man.
Overall hype. I mean, good enough. Like, what's your hype level? 0 to 10 hype level House of the Dragon season 2 right now. I'm going to go with hard 8.
Yeah, I'm probably just a smidge higher than that. I'll say 8.3. I'm peaking on 8. Probably convinced myself to 8.5. I'm pretty excited about it, and I think some of that's just timing. There hasn't been a lot of new stuff out, so they're kind of getting the benefit of that. But we've been waiting a while. I think these trailers have helped me kind of get excited about it and realize, okay, well now especially we know that June 16th is not that far in the future. So that got me pretty pumped.
Yeah, it really should be a good time.
For like a good HBO show, dude. Like that's exciting.
And as much as we bag on the fact that it took this long to get more episodes, especially because they were, for the most part, not encumbered by the writer's strike and the actor's strike because they're based in the UK, they've had their time for this one. I'm really expecting it to look really good. They've had all the time in the world to really nail this one. All right, we didn't have any predictions on the board. Let me just ask you, do you think we get any time jumps longer than a year this season?
No. You?
I don't think so. And if we do, I'm saying like they do it in a way where the big battle happens in the penultimate episode, and then in the finale, like halfway through, they jump ahead or something.
Okay. So nothing significant
like
I
don't think they need
mid-season,
to, even knowing the books, I don't think they need to, but it wouldn't surprise me if they wanted to jump ahead like 2 years or 4, I don't think they're ever going to jump a decade again or whatever, unless it's at the very end to set up a spin-off or to, working into Game of Thrones or the Dunk and Egg series or whatever. But
because they're still, even with that jump, they're still, what, 80 years before? Like they're still pretty significant before.
Well, see, they changed the timelines a little bit. Like they condense things, and shorten it up a little. So I don't know exactly how it'll work, because Dunk and Egg is, in theory, I think 90 years before in the books. I don't know if that'll hold in the show. And this should be like, I don't know, call it 200 years roughly before Dunk and Egg or something like that. So that would theoretically make it, I guess, like 300 to 450, call it somewhere in there, years before Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to play it, a little bit fast and loose, I think, here, so they give themselves some flexibility with the spin-offs or prequels or what have you.
Yeah, as they should. Well, I guess that's it, man. That's a wrap on another episode of Flagons and Dragons. Thanks again for checking out the show, and please stick with us for season 2. We'll be back between now and then, so make sure you follow and subscribe. The Bull Mills has all the details for you.
I am Mills, the man with the flagon on a dragon. Thank you for checking out Flagons and Dragons, presented by Regular Dudes Watch Stuff. You can find us wherever you get your pods and on the YouTube. Find us on social media at Dudes Watch Stuff. Same place on the web, dudeswatchstuff.com, regulardudeswatchstuff.com. We do it twice to keep it nice and make it easy for you to remember when I say it thrice. Thank you again for checking us out. Please remember the flaps, follow, like, and please subscribe. It's all we ask. If you had fun, please remember the thumb. And Jamie G, my flagon is empty.
Time to refill him, mate. Thanks again for joining us, but we got to get out of here. That hot fire won't spit itself. See you next time.
She went mate with it. He went real Australian for a minute, eh?
Fill up my flagon with Fosters. I got a flagon full of Fosters.
I gotta release it. What y'all wanna do? Don't you know we always coming through? Me and my crew. Let me hear you say fire.